some weird event that occurs. I like kind of like the squid face crossbones stuff. It's kind of a good look. Not necessarily one that I would go for, but I like the purple. It adds a nice touch. So we will. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to something a little bit different. That's right, we're taking a look again at FTL. Now, previously we did a video where we talked about what is FTL. We went through all the details, generally how it worked, how the game was set up, kind of some of the history, why it was important, and overall why it was pretty cool. Now, if you want to go back and watch that and kind of get acquainted with the game, which has been out for a while, and it's a little bit of a historic individual here in the gaming community in terms of games. It's got a bit of history and it's pretty darn cool. The link to that video is in the description down below. Now, that being said, we have talked about us diving into a brand new game, and that is what we are going to do today. We're going to come up here. We're going to make sure that we can dive into a new game. Now, what ship do we want to tackle? Rather than going into the Kestrel, I think we're going to dive into the Taurus. Now, the reason being is I've done a few runs with this ship. You can see I've already got one of the achievements unlocked for that. I'd like to kind of ply away at this as well. The Engi, which is what this ship is, you can see that these are kind of your cybernetic individuals. Think friendly Terminators of sorts, cybernetic, of that nature. Now, this is a pretty cool ship. At first, I was not very excited about this. Let's take a step back and take a look at this. The Kestrel, it's very human-centric, lasers, shields. It looks really cool. It reminds me kind of Star Trek-ish or Battlestar Galactica or just very general sci-fi, which is pretty darn cool. Now, you come over here to take a look at the Taurus, which is the Engi ship, and we're going to hide the rooms, and it just kind of, it doesn't look that aesthetically pleasing to me. However, in gameplay, this ship focuses quite heavily on the usage of combat drones, ion blasters, and really focusing on secondary systems, which is pretty cool in the sense that I didn't expect to like it, but I overall ended up liking it quite a bit. So, we're going to dive on in here. We're not going to activate the Advanced Edition content just yet, but for the moment, let's stop talking. Let's dive on in. We're starting on easy because, well, I haven't beat the game on it yet, and we're going to go down that road. We'll rename this from the Taurus to, I don't know, how about the Toaster? Seems appropriate. Seems like it'll work out well. And I think that would be an interesting way to go. So we'll work over here, press that enter button, be good to go, and hit that start button. Let's see what we've got. The data you carry is vital to the remaining Federation fleet. You'll need supplies for the journey, so make sure to explore each sector before moving on to the next. But get to the exit before the pursuing rebel fleet can catch up. Tip: breaches. If a room with a breach has no oxygen, try opening all the doors surrounding it to make it less hazardous. Which is not a bad idea, but potentially on the short-term basis, long-term basis, you're going to lose all your air, which ain't that great. Come up here and press that continue button. Now you can see up here we don't have any missiles, we don't have any secondary weapons. All we have is an ion blaster, which we can fully power up, and combat drones, which are pretty cool. Now, every time we go to spend a combat drone, we end up using spare parts. There are a few weapons and upgrades you can get to mitigate that. One that I'm aware of is the drone recovery arm, which we're going to try our best to get our hands on if we can. We also kind of want to keep our eye on the long game. We want to get a teleporter on board to handle the final boss, assuming we make it there. This playthrough, you might not. We'll see how it goes. Now, down here, you can see we won't have enough. We're one juice short, one bit of unused reactor energy available to fully power on the drone. So that's going to be the first thing that we do right off the bat. We're going to click on this, and we're going to go in power bars. We're going to get an extra one. That way, we can be full power across the board, power up the combat drone over here with a power of 2, and then we can focus on further upgrades further on down the road as we go. Now, let's hit that jump button. Let's see what we got to do. We got to get here to the exit. That is our goal. We are in Sector 1, the civilian sector. Now, this is always an interesting thing. I like to jump to systems that give me the most possible options, the largest number of available choices to go to. This one, you can go back to the one that's over here or up here, or you can just go to this point right here, an unvisited location, and you can get access to 4 additional locations. Now, the first times I tried to play this, I just raced all the way through to the exit as quick as I could to get to the end, and I found myself not being prepared enough with tech, crew upgrades, things like that. Now, the second time, I was a little too slow. I got caught by the enemy fleet. It was very disastrous. I spent a lot of resources trying to just get away and keep the crew and the ship alive in one piece, and it really wasn't worth it. So there is a balance as the enemy fleet slowly creeps through the sector left to right in order to get in here and make this work. So we're going to be very cautious and careful, and we're going to see if we can't get blown up halfway through this adventure, because that's very likely what's going to happen. Now, pirate riggers usually have teleporters. I really don't want to mess with these guys or gals. We don't know, but it looks like we're going to have to fight them. This might be a very short series right off the bat. So we're going to have to reject their offer. They're like, hey, greetings and welcome to our beacon. For a small fee, we'll let you continue on your way. Yeah. Yeah, you can see here, thankfully, they don't have a teleporter, so we're just going to be dealing with combat, which is okay. But, ew. So here we go. Too bad. You will regret this decision. Well, here we go. Continue button. Immediately pressing the pause button to pause combat. Again, this is a real-time combat, kind of a roguelike. There's a lot of terms that get thrown around out there, and normally I'm not a fan of those. But again, as we talked about in the What Is FTL video, I've grown to like this quite a bit. So we want to keep our pilot here. We want to keep our dude over here in the engineering, Ken, I think it is. And then, of course, we've got Mara up front. That way we can keep our evasion chances high enough to hopefully try to evade some of these shots. It looks like they've got a laser cannon of some variety, and they have a drone controller, so they've got a little drone over here that's just slowly plinking away at our shields. Now, we are going to set up auto-fire. You know, once you get really good at the game, most people that are playing on the highest difficulty settings say don't use this. Early game, I found that as a casual player approaching this, I like to use this because it means that I'm not missing recharges and shots and stuff. I can largely set, at least on this ship, things like ion blasters and stuff into a system. Once you attack and damage a system, any further damage in there goes straight to hull. Sometimes you don't want to do the hull damage. You want to try to shut down all these other systems to then make it more efficient to get that hull damage. So I get where they're coming from, but at least for me right now, we're just going to dive in. We're going to set the ion blaster to go here for the shields. Now, what's cool about the ion blaster is if the ion blaster isn't able to actually damage us and actually just touches the shields here out here, it drops the shields and then freezes this area by 5 seconds, I think it is, at least on the settings that we're playing on. So what that means is with the ion blaster, you can target other systems here in the ship at the hull. Like let's say we can go for the drone controller and a few other things. But rather than dealing damage to these areas, if the shield intercepts it, it'll actually drop the shield and put the damage here, even though you're targeting other stuff. So if you have multiple ion weapons, which I have done in the past, you can really get a good sweep here where you are targeting different things in different areas on the ship and really just keeping those shields locked down, because once they are stunned for 5 seconds, they're not generating. The ship's entire process in that room is down, which is pretty cool. So we'll see how this goes. All we really have is that and our combat drone, which is dropping out over here as well. So we're fighting back and forth. We really need to get our shields up as well. There's a lot of upgrades that we will have to do for this. So there they go. One shot coming in. Shields are down. We'll see how it goes. Thankfully, they missed. Their shots are coming in, and boop, there goes the shields. This drone's going to fire on in, and thankfully our shields, the kind of cadence right now is getting up to speed. You can see the drone is down because we have got this squared away. Now, what's really cool is the ion weaponry gets in there, largely keeps their shields down, and our drone, if it can get shots into the interior hull and it's not intercepted by a shield, it's going to get in there and randomly target things. So you get a pretty good smorgasbord. Now, here is something that I always largely like to follow, specifically here with the Engi, because we are looking for a lot of secondary tech, a lot of value. Now, that means we have to accumulate scrap. Unless they're actually giving us potentially crew members, which is huge, largely we're going to get in there and ignore everything they have and just straight up go for the scrap. I think sometimes they'll offer missiles and systems like this, and you can get more scrap for this. So I think we'll probably take this. This could be good. This right here is our jump fuel. These are the drones that we need. These are the scrap. And this right here is a missile launcher. I've never actually got a good missile launcher system installed on this ship. Never really had to use it. So we'll see. I think we'll take it because we can always sell that now. We've reached agreement. We're not going to continue attacking them. They're going to not attack us. They still could potentially explode if they had internal damage and structural failure and stuff. But they don't. There's a chance that they could have their oxygen supply fail and everyone on board dies, but that's okay. That's not really something that we need to worry about ourselves. And potentially it's an issue for them. But that's all right. So for example, let's go over here. Let's click on our ship systems. Where does that go? Now we have it currently installed right now, which we could use. We don't even have near the power to make that work or functional, but that's okay. It looks scary, right? So required power for 3 requires a missile, which again we don't have. We will accumulate those over time. 22-second charge time. That is massively long. But shield piercing, it can go through 5 levels of shield. I think is how that's set up. Fire chance is low, breach chance is high. So you're going to create a breach on their hull, and they're going to lose oxygen. Now, again, we're probably just going to pull this down here. But we're going to sell this at some point, and I think that'll be all right. Yeah, I think most likely they are. Everyone on board that ship is dead. So that's all right. Not a big issue for us. Now we're going to keep these individuals here. We're going to make sure we save their current crew location. They're each in their location going to start slowly building up skills with their stations. And that'll take a little bit of time, but that's all right. Now you can see there's going to be a store here. We can't buy a lot, but we can sell that ship weapon system. And if we jump there, again, we're going to unlock 5 different storage locations. So we're going to do it. We're going to jump. And we're going to try to sell this and hopefully get a little bit of money to buy some more stuff back. Now, again, we can buy a combat drone too, which is huge. That'll be very, very useful later on, as will be a crew teleporter. These get more expensive depending on which store and where in what sectors you can find them. So I don't think we can get enough money to buy that. Probably not the combat drone too, but we could possibly get enough money to buy a rock up here. These are individuals that have a lot of really, really good traits. Like, for example, they're immune to fire. They move really slow, but they're really, really high on the hit points. This could be beneficial. This really, really could. But again, it all depends. What can we sell this for? 32 is not bad. We're going to drag this over here to the sell. We're going to sell that 55. That's exactly what we need for a crew member. I think that's going to work out well. So we have Julian Rothan, Rockman, or Jill, Rockman. I don't see there's any difference there. So Jill looks pretty cool. We'll go with Jill. So just like that, we now have a crew member, and they don't have any specific dedicated skill sets, but we will put them over here onto shields. And after that, we'll need to have someone up here on the drones to keep them going, because that's kind of important, but shields are also more important. And we'll go in there and save that. So with that, let's keep on going. Let's keep on jumping. You can see that the Rebel fleet is slowly following us in. I kind of want to see what some of these are. We don't have an ability right now to kind of tackle what is available here. Sometimes you have a chance to get in and scan things and can see, oh, here's a ship out here. There's a dangerous sector over there. And once we have access to that, if we get lucky enough to get those modules installed or some of those abilities, that would be nice. But right now, we don't. So fingers crossed. We're going to jump one adjacent system. We got a lot of jump fuel on this ship. Should be all right. And, ooh, Pirate Scout neutral. Let's see here. An especially well-armed pirate ship approaches you. Hand over one of your crew members and the rest of you can go free unharmed. Well, we could do that, but I think we're going to go and end up fighting them. That's what we're definitely going to do. They don't have a teleporter, so we don't have to worry about borders coming on unless there's some weird event that occurs. I kind of like the squid face, crossbones stuff. It's kind of a good look. Not necessarily one that I would go for, but I like the purple. It adds a nice touch. So, we will never surrender one of our crew to the slavers. Immediately hit that pause button on the spacebar, and what we can see here is they've got 2 laser weapons, is my guess. I'm not really sure of what nature. They only have 1 shield, as do we. We really need to get more scrap to get in there and do some more damage. But that being said, we're going to get the ion blaster rolling over here under their shields. I really want to keep that locked down so that our combat drone really has an unimpeded ability to get in there and do some damage. So fingers crossed, ladies and gents. Unpause, and we'll see how this rolls. Combat drone is taking one down. This goes in there, boop. That is locked down for a good 5 seconds, and now they're taking out. Oh man, this is good. Oh, not great, not great. Immediately, we're gonna have someone come up there and get our drone back up because this is not really good. You can see the doors opening and closing, getting in there, and thankfully things are missing. But what's happening is they've got their piloting down, so they can't dodge, which makes it easier for us to shoot them, which is good. They're shooting 2 large blasts this way. I don't think they're laser repeaters or anything. It's some other form of weapon system. But with their ion weapon about ready to fire, you can see here, keeping their shields down. Once we get our drone back up, it'll be able to keep raining fire and destruction onto their internals. We'll see if we can beat their reload. We could target other things, but we really need to get that drone up. There it is. Oh boy, here comes a fire. Boom. There's a breach. Doors are closed. That's okay. We can fix that later. Not really that important. We need to get this drone up. We really, really need to get that drone up. So there we go. Our oxygen system is down. Yeah, they can see this dropping up there on the top left. They're gonna give us a crew member. Interesting. Weapon or crew? Crew is important. I guess we could use another rock person. That would be nice. So, sure, we will do that. And now we're going to immediately get in there and try to repair this. And these individuals up there are going to try to repair that. And if we need to, we can always retreat back to our health area. But this is not ending amazingly well. Ours and their O2 systems are down. Not perfect. Not perfect at all. Now you can see that we do have a little bit of opportunity here to get some of these individuals back up and speeding without back up and healthy fairly speedily without actually being in the healing room here. You can see that, Mara, Ken, Jill, Narth, all their hit points are going up. And that's because of some extra gear that we have on board our ship is Engi Medbot Dispersal. Now we can drop this if we want to, but this is cool. So you can get real good healing in the med bay, or if you're just anywhere on the ship, it'll slowly heal you at a reduced rate, which is nice. Still, though, until you get that upgraded, the preferred area to fight borders is usually here, just because you can slowly keep things healed themselves on up, which will be nice. Now, of course, everything is healed up. These rooms are slowly refilling. We'll send everyone back to their positions. I think we're going to send Narth up here to the drone area. And I think that's important because that way we at least have someone up here so we don't have to, send a slow rock individual all the way up there. We'll save. It'll be okay. Next, we're going to try to find someone that's a mantis. They can do some really good combat. But at the end of the game, if we can keep these two individuals, Narth and Jill, alive, we'll be teleporting them over and doing a lot of damage with boarding actions, which is pretty darn cool. Their oxygen still isn't repaired. My guess is everyone on board is dead. So you can see stuff is starting to happen. And if we jumped here, you can say, hey, the rebels are about to gain control of this beacon. So if we were to be somehow jumping to the system, we would be fighting rebels rather than what would be normally there, which isn't that ideal. Now we're going to try to jump over this way rather than try to jump through nebulas. I'm not a huge fan of those with the Engi. Nebulas really reduce your power sometimes depending on what portion of the nebulas you go to. And you don't really know that until you get in there. So we're really doing our best to kind of dive on in and survive. So we're going to jump over here to this section. Again, we need to get some scrap. We need to get some stuff going our way. Ooh, let's see here. This beacon has been built for a nearby civilized civilian space station. No one hails your ship. Oh, that's a bummer. So this is basically a bum area. There's not a lot that we can get going on, but that's all right. Now we're going to jump to this area. We can hopefully get some more action happening, some more opportunities. Oh, we're jumping near a sun. Not ideal. These will eventually flare and deal damage to your ship. Not good. However, we are going up against what I think is an automated rebel ship, which these are relatively easy to get in and do some damage on. This one is a cloaking device, though, so we might not get that many opportunities. I think we'll be able to eventually put this down because there are no shield systems on it, so we'll get a good chance to get in and do some damage with it. You arrive at the beacon to find yourself dangerously close to a star. An automated rebel ship impervious to the heat moves in to engage. We're going to immediately press the space button. We're going to get our combat drone deployed. We're going to get our ion blaster ready. And again, because they've immediately cloaked, you can see this probably for the next 5 seconds. We're not going to be able to target anything, and that's okay. So we're just going to wait till it comes back up. It's a really cool effect, and we're just hanging out. And we're going to go for that cloak. I want to shut that down right off the bat. And it looks like they targeted it anyway, so that's okay. Oh, and there we go. Our internal sensors are offline. They're packing 2 weapons. I haven't run across this many times. We're going to do the ion blaster over the weapon systems next. Where we were running across a lot of multi-weapon tiered systems on ships this early in the game. So this is a new portion of the playthrough. Again, everything is slightly different every time you go through this effort, which is all part of the fun. Oh boy, that one missed, thankfully. And there it is. The target is taken care of. We're getting some good scrap out of there. 18 scrap, 1 drone to replace what we had, and 3 jump fuel. Now we're just trying to get out of here before bad stuff happens. So we're going to send our weapon system individual over here. I want to keep a crew member over here on the shields. I want to make sure we have Davian over here because if bad stuff happens, it's not going to be great. Now, thankfully, this individual is getting in there and putting out the fire. I don't think it's going to spread. It might. That's not great. But we'll have to repair this first. And hopefully that gets repaired. You can see down here, it's going. We are good to go. Thankfully, we can see. I want to make sure the ship is repaired before we go on to the next jump because if your crew members aren't fully healed or things are still being repaired, you carry that over if you jump too soon. That being said, we don't want to hang out here too soon. There's a lot of solar flares, a lot of bad activity. So we're going to return our crew members and we're going to jump. And before we go to the exit, I think we're going to go one more up here. We can probably mess around. You can see no matter whether we go here, here, or here, we can all jump back to the exit. So we have a little bit of time to doodle doddle, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully we can get some more scrap built up. We're going to need a lot of it to buy a lot of stuff. Ooh, debris from a battle is scattered around the system. A few pieces bounce against your ship. You passively scan them and discover there is a functioning weapon among them. Hermes missile, 12 scrap, and a Hermes missile launcher. That's all right. We will definitely, let's see what this one looks like. This one takes 3 power, 14 seconds to charge, a little bit better. Normal damage. Again, we're not going to be spending a lot of time with missiles if we can help it. I'd rather sell that stuff to buy more things. Crew members are important, but also is gear. Now we're here. We're just going to let our crew member fully heal. Looks like they are. And now we're going to jump a little bit further. We're going to keep on kind of going out here and getting further and further away. And we'll see. It might be a little bit of a cheeky situation, but it's important nonetheless. Now, again, we're up against another pirate class, which is, a bummer. But hey, thankfully, again, they don't have teleporters. Those are really difficult to deal with. This beacon has been placed too close to a supergiant Class M star. The ship will gradually overheat until you get out of here. Or die. A pirate, apparently oblivious to the danger of the sun, moves in to engage. And with that, continue, space deposit. This right here is a laser repeater, I think. No idea what that is. That looks a little scary. But we're going to enable the combat drone, use the ion blaster on their shields every single time. I want to make sure those are locked down, just because I want to make sure our combat drone, which gets a single shot and is doing the most damage possible to this ship. So fingers crossed. We'll see. We're going to unpause it and see who loads up better. You can see here that this gun is slowly loading on up. Now we are missing our shots, and that's largely because they're relatively good. They've got good pilot accuracy up here, but thankfully, because of the damage that they just did, they're not going to be able to dodge anymore, and our shields are absorbing their one-shots, and we've done some damage to their weapon system. It's back online, though, slowly charging back up. Now, this is something that can happen. One, solar flare is imminent up here. That's going to be bad. That can light us on fire, a whole slew of bad things. We're largely electronic. Solar flares aren't great. But here you can see the enemy ship appears to be powering up its FTL. It's trying to escape. Now, they're going to need to repair this, and they're going to need to repair this to make this work. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch our ion weapon here to the engine. We want to make sure that that is going to be stopped. And that means we're going to potentially slow down our ability to get our combat drone in here and do damage, but that's okay. I would rather stop them and take the battle a little bit longer rather than just straight out let them get away. We need the salvage. They picked a fight with us. We're going to get in there and do a lot of stuff. Now, they're going to try to, bribe us with stuff. None of this is meaningful. We're going to get more scrap by, blowing this up. We might not get the missiles. We might not get the fuel, but we will get more scrap. And we specifically, for this playthrough, need as much scrap as possible because we're going to be buying a lot of systems that we're not going to get a good access to just on salvage. Other ships, you can have different strategies, but for this particular Engi hull, this vessel that they're piloting, that's kind of going to be something that we got to deal with. So fingers crossed. We will not accept surrender. And there goes everything's on fire. We're just going to open up some doors here to let the atmosphere happen. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. So we already got the flare. We've blown them up. We've done good. And we're just going to let this, the oxygen, kind of evaporate the fire. That's the wrong word. Extinguish the fire. Extinguish is the word that we're looking for. Now you can see we got more scrap, and we still got a little bit of stuff. The scrap value is, again, what we're looking for. And we're just going to let this slowly go. It'll be fine. It'll be all right. This will eventually get put out. And there we go. So that's all good to go. I'm assuming all the fire is out. Should be all right. And now you can see there's no more fire in these rooms down here. We're going to close all of these doors. And we're going to send our shield person over there. We're going to send our weapon system over here. Now, they are going to need to get in there and redo the O2. So they're going to take a little bit of damage. But it'll be all right. One step at a time. Now, again, we're going to keep an eye here on solar flare imminent. And when that happens, we're going to jump. But hopefully we can get some repairs going before too long. We're going to bring those people over here. And we're going to jump. We're going to jump. We're going to go one more. We're going to keep being cheeky. We're getting very, very cautiously close to this. You can see that these are completely in control of the rebel territory. We're going to keep jumping. We're going to see. We got away from the solar flare. Here we go. What are we dealing with here? You come across a rebel automated scout ship pursuing a civilian ship, weapons engaged. In this particular case, I'm going to aid the civilian ship. That means we go into a fight, and if we win, we get the salvage from that automated scout ship, as well as hopefully some gratitude from the civilians. Occasionally, you get missions from them, and that's how you can get access to additional different types of ships and missions. And because largely, most of these ships that you get access to, these additional hulls, you get those by taking on different missions and completing different tasks that you run across from people and encounters here in your playthroughs as you go through these sectors and systems and things like that. You can get access to certain things by completing, achievements and whatnot, but you have different access to things like the Zoltan ship, which I'm excited to do a playthrough on that at some point if there's interest. We got that by basically listening to someone, taking them someplace, then taking another mission from them to go somewhere else to get to a system to recover something, and we got access to it, which is pretty cool. We're going to aid the civilian ship. Oh boy. You power up your weapons and engage the automated ship. Well, we're going to hit the continue button, immediately press the space bar. We have to repair this stuff, which is important. Combat drone is up. We're going to set the ion blaster out as well. Onto the shields. Thankfully, they don't have any teleporters, but they do have their own drones. This is a little one. It's not as dangerous as ours, but it will slowly keep blinking away. And if our shields ever do drop, it will do damage. One shot from this one is not enough to take our shields out. But again, we're going to try to get this repaired, and then we'll send everyone back to where they got to go. So we're almost there. There it is. We're going to send everyone back to their areas. And let the combat begin. Their shields are down. Their shields are now locked in. There we go. Our drones are doing some damage. Oh boy, not good. They did some damage there with the missile, but thankfully no one was present in that location. Drone is getting in there. It shut down the weapon systems, and oof, lots of fire. Thankfully, Narth is immune to fire, which is useful. And there goes the ship. We put the fire out. Got our drone systems being recovered. Not too bad. The ship breaks apart. You hasten to contact the civilian ship. So again, we got our jump recovered, and we can eventually sell these missiles if we don't use them, which is nice. We got some more scrap, which is good. Contact the civilian ship. The ship you saved was badly damaged in the battle. Most of the crew accepts your offer to be dropped off at a nearby station. One offers to join your crew. Bovie, I'm pretty sure this is a... Oh, actually, I don't think this is a mantis. I don't know. We'll have to check. Welcome aboard. The survivor gets on board. Let's hit the continue button. What are we dealing with here? Who are you? That is the question. So let's go over here, click on the ship. We're going to go to our individuals here. This is a mantis. That's what we were looking for. These individuals can do a lot of damage, but they're not very hardy. So Narth, they don't necessarily do any more damage, but they can take a lot of punishment. Now here, they can move really fast, so they're good enough to get around the ship and do different things to get to areas, but the repair speed isn't that great. Now here for the Davian and Ken, their repair speeds are doubled. They're Engi, they're part of original crew, and they can't really fight that well. So keep in mind that they're not that great at combat. Now again, Mara, human. Humans are common and uninteresting. Their skills improve a little bit better, and that's all right. So where can we put this Engi? Where would we like them to be? Honestly, that's a really, really good question. I think right now we're going to send them over here to this area, and they can bounce back and forth as needed. But the reason being is they can respond to stuff in different areas as they need to. But if we lose access to the automated doors, well, if there's a fire and we can't open the doors, that's not going to go well because the fire is going to spread and eventually burn the whole ship up. Our hull is very, very much damaged. We've taken a lot of pounding by missiles. We eventually need to find a store and get in there and get some more repairs going on. So we're just going to keep keeping this going. We could get in and do some repairs. For example, we could get in here and try to power up some extra things. And while I really desperately want to do that, we need to save up to get into a position where we can get our hull repaired and start getting some more weapons. You're always going to have something that you need to buy all the way right up to the end of the game, right up to your initial playthrough, assuming you make it all the way through. So it's going to be definitely a balancing act. Right now, our Combat 1 and our Ion are doing really good. If we can find some Zoltan members, we could get some free power. Again, if you remember during our What is FTL, they're individuals that glow green, and they really, really honestly, they provide free power for everything that they're sitting on, which means it's one less thing we have to go through. So we'll see how that goes. Actually, we're going to cancel. We're going to save this here. We're going to make sure that they are in their good current configuration. Now, again, we're getting really, really close. We're going to jump here. And we're going to see. We're starting to really, really chance fate. Reduced power and intruders on board. Um, Not great. Not great at all. Hopefully, we don't need to do combat. We can just focus on internals. We'll see how that goes. You find two heavily damaged ships floating nearby, the remains of a battle. You begin to harvest some usable debris when you hear the sounds of someone beaming on board, followed by the shouts of a boarding party. Now, one, we got a lot of salvage. Two, there's not a lot of good stuff, so we're going to immediately press pause. They're coming in up there. We're going to, again, stuff is already shut down, which is not good. So it looks like there's 3 humans up here. Well, we're going to send these individuals up here to assist to see how well that goes. Thankfully, he's got a lot of health, and we're going to get in here and do a lot of damage, try to get into a big giant brawl. I don't know as if we're going to win this. There we go. One's down. The question is, will our rock dude up here, will Narth take it? I think they will. I think we're definitely going to be able to out-heal him, and there we go. So intruders on board. We're going to send them back to where they got to be. We got very, very lucky. We could get up there and respond pretty quickly. Whew. Now, what else do we have up here is you're inside a nebula. Your sensors will not function, but the rebel fleet will advance more slowly, thankfully. And up here, basically, your power plant doesn't generate as much. So we're slowly healing everybody up. We're just going to let that happen, and then we're going to jump. Again, we got some really good scrap out of that. We were lucky. Sometimes you can have borders that are very difficult to get in there and save your ship from, especially if you don't see where they are. So we're going to let Narth slowly recover. They're definitely, they took a beating. You can see their hit points are slowly getting up there. I want to make sure they're good to go. I think the next step is to jump to the exit and get to the next sector. I think that's going to be our approach. So ladies and gentlemen, if you've really liked what you see here, please, add a comment, let me know, hit that like button, subscribe if you really want to support the channel. But again, just thanks for stopping on by and checking us out. We're going to go to the next sector here. We're going to go to the exit inside of Nebula and see what happens. But again, we're kind of wrapping up this first initial jump in. So we'll see how this goes. And nothing else going on here. That's all right. We're going to jump to the next sector. And what do we want to do? Rebel controlled and a lot of combat, or go into Zoltan space? Well, we want to get a few Zoltan crew members, so we're going to jump over here. They're not always the most friendly, but we could get access to some nice, friendly people. You've entered the Zoltan territory. This species is not renowned for giving anything for nothing, but you can always be assured of fair hearing. We're going to hit that continue button. We're going to hit that jump button just to see what we got. There is a large amount of nebulas here. Again, as you can see, these are somewhat dangerous. We could skirt all the way around, but this up here is a dead-end sector. These don't go anywhere. So we really do need to jump on through if we want to try to get through these systems into some good stuff over here relatively quickly. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to leave it here. We're going to pick back up here probably next week, unless something else cool comes out for some other, content and stuff like that. But if you really are interested in a series like this where we're going through and we're trying to, get to the final boss and see how this goes, please let me know in the comment section down below. Please let me know if there is a lot of interest in this sort of stuff, and we'll do some more videos on it. So again, thank you very much for stopping on by. It's been a blast. It's been a pleasure to have you here and watch me fumble through some games. And as always, we'll see you next time. Have a good one.